Hi everyone, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Blemishes can be turned to blessings. Right, this will be number 302 of the Catechism, with respect to maybe consequences, events that we were not hoping would happen to us, and yet all of a sudden they happened. We lost a job, we may have done one thing differently than what we were expecting, or maybe some sort of blunder just appeared out of nowhere and it's like, oh my gosh, this was a good day, it got worse. Yes, how can we turn all these negatives into positives, right? And so I think 302 of the Catechism really shares a really good point to that with respect to the blemishes turning to blessings, and with God watching everything from his throne and respecting all creation that he made. Now that it's in motion, now that you and I are living life, we are now doing our actions and are living our lives according to as we see fit, but always trying to have a little guidance to think, okay, are we doing more or less than what we can do? So let me share with you number 302 of the Catechism, and let's see what it says with respect to the following, with God and creation, his connection with it. So 302 states the following. God carries out his plan, divine providence, section 5, 302. Creation has its own goodness, proper perfection, but it did not spring forth complete from the hands of the Creator. The universe was created in a state of journeying, in statu viae, toward an ultimate perfection yet to be attained, to which God has destined it. We call divine providence the dispositions by which God guides his creation toward this perfection. By his providence, God protects and governs all things which he has made, reaching mightily from one end of the earth to the other, ordering all things well, for all are open and laid bare to his eyes, even those things which are yet to come into existence through the free action of creatures. The free action of creatures. That is a very powerful statement to conclude that with 302. But that is, I believe, the highlight of 302. And it really comes back to a problem that we have in society, or it highlights something. The question of, why did that happen? Why did that evil thing happen to that person, to myself, to our community, to another nation, to the world, universe even, right? Why do bad things happen? And this is that interesting perspective of God, right, loving his creation so much, respecting his creation to allow it to flourish. And yet he's watching it from his throne. And you're thinking, oh wow, he's still here. We could pray to him. Of course we can. Maybe we'll have our prayers answered now, tomorrow, maybe 10 years, 50 years after you and I pass away, whatever. And the thing is, from even a non-religious perspective, how can you turn a blemish into a blessing? And I think that is a very practical way of living life as well. That can be helpful for you to get out of the dumps. Think about it. If you and I were stuck, I'll share with you this example. So I'm trying to build or work with my brokers with the insurance and financial side. And so get this, I took the wrong exam. Oh, I found out today. Oh, it made me so sad. I took the one for consulting, and not as a producer, for insurance and financial policies. And I'm thinking, oh my, did I just waste money? Did I just lose an opportunity? Well, hold on. I think back at that and I say, I could turn that into a blessing. Maybe there's something else that I'm meant to do, to accomplish. And maybe that certification, that will allow me to go to do other things as a service. And I could still go for the producer certification, right? And that's the thing. You can still turn some negative into a positive and just add upon your blessings, right? Maybe you were meant to do something, right? But then all of a sudden you did the extra mile. You did the extra thing. You're like, oh my gosh, why did I run that extra mile? I was so foolish. Why did I get so excited? I just lost so much energy. And yet, now that I realize that I'm resting, I kind of appreciate that I did do that. I kind of appreciate that I was a little crazy person, a knucklehead that kind of went for that extra mile, to ask that girl out, that guy out, to have this business idea that I wanted to start, this opportunity to give it a shot. Maybe it was good that I was a little hopeful. So maybe not crazy, but hopeful. So think of that. You could be hopeful for things rather than perceiving yourself as crazy. And that should give you some optimism to think, okay, I could be hopeful for good things. Let's see if we can turn things around. You see this in sports all the time. Draft picks who were supposed to be the best, all of a sudden they crash. The pressure comes on and they realize that they're under all this intense pressure to succeed, to think that they have to succeed at all odds, to win everything, and to feel like all the burden of a city and a town is on their shoulders. to where all of a sudden they crack under the pressure. And that's the thing. To put all that pressure upon you, you can do terrible habits, terrible actions, because all of a sudden you're trying to find a way to cope with all that stress. And so here's something to think about with respect to taking on big endeavors, maybe more than you were thinking you would do. Be patient, relax, be calm. You can journal this. You can even do videos like I do to kind of state how you're doing in your personal life in some ways, and to say, okay, this is where I was maybe about a year ago. A year ago, I wasn't even at this position. Now today, I have several businesses that are ready to go because I kept pushing, I kept driving forward. But the thing was, I was patient, kept evaluating my steps, and then I would move forward. So I still had hope. And so there, I don't have the pressure on me as badly. I don't have to feel like, oh, I have to save the world all of a sudden. And that's where the lower draft picks, the unsung heroes, the people who we weren't thinking would become the best, emerge. Because they found a way to cope with that stress. They silenced the noise. They silenced the negativity. And they turned their negatives into positives. They didn't have to be the number one pick. They didn't have to be the first one chosen. And all of a sudden now everyone wants to come to them and ask them for help. Because they were dedicated to their craft. They were optimistic that they could succeed. And all of a sudden all their hard work is paying off. And that is a wonderful place to be in. You can get there, and I know you can. I'm going to push forward too, and that's motivation for me to tell you, you can as well. So don't give up on yourself. Always turn those blemishes into blessings, and you will turn things around. All right, everyone. Hope this one finds you well. Number 302 of the Catechism. Don't give up on yourself. Be courageous. Be hopeful. Maybe you could say crazy, but I like to prefer hopeful over crazy. And to think that, all right, someone upstairs is watching his creation. He allows things to happen. So maybe bad things do happen, but I could turn some of these into good things. I could find the blessing within them and do more than what I thought I was realizing that I was supposed to do. And maybe that was meant to be something for me, to help somebody else. And then again, maybe it's a blessing for somebody who also needs that to happen in their lives as well. And I just became the link to that person's redemption. And that is a wonderful thing to think about. All right, everyone. Hope this one finds you well with number 302 of the Catechism. Take care. Have a good one.